I always thought late-night buses were just empty, boring rides, monotonous stretches of road punctuated by the occasional headlight. That night, I was the only person on the 12:15 a.m. bus from downtown to my apartment. The city was quiet, almost eerily so, with streetlights flickering like dying stars. The driver, a middle-aged man with a grizzled face and tired eyes, barely acknowledged me when I boarded. I gave him my pass, muttered a "thank you," and settled into a seat midway down the bus. The hum of the engine was the only sound until we moved, smooth but hollow, like gliding through a dream. At first, I enjoyed the silence. I put on my headphones and stared at the empty seats stretching ahead of me. Outside, the city looked distorted in the rain-slicked windows, streetlights blurring into smeared yellow streaks. But then, I noticed something. A man, sitting 3 rows behind me. I hadn't heard anyone board, hadn't seen anyone step on. He wore a dark, old-fashioned suit that looked like it had come straight out of another era. His posture was perfect, stiff, almost unnatural. I froze, unsure if I imagined him. My first instinct was to rationalize. Maybe he'd been on the bus when I boarded, hidden in the shadows. But no, I would have noticed. The bus was empty. I looked away, trying to focus on the street outside, but a chill ran down my spine. I could feel him staring. I dared a glance back. He hadn't moved, not a muscle. His eyes, they were hollow, like empty wells staring straight into me. I told myself it was nothing, maybe I was just tired, but the whispers started. At first I thought they were in my head, soft, almost inaudible but unmistakable. "You shouldn't be here." I turned sharply. No one was near me. The man 3 rows back hadn't moved his lips, but the whispering continued. Panic rose. I stood, clutching my bag, and stepped toward him. "Hey, who are you? What do you want?" I demanded, my voice shaking. The whispers stopped. Silence swallowed the bus. Then slowly, impossibly, the man's head tilted toward me. That same hollow gaze pierced through my skull. I ran to the front, the floorboards groaning under my weight. "Driver, stop the bus. There's someone on here. Someone shouldn't be here." The driver turned slowly, and that's when I saw his eyes. Pure black, no whites, no irises, just voids staring at me. A slow smile stretched across his face, teeth yellowed and jagged. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The bus lights flickered violently, plunging the interior into darkness for a heartbeat, then back into dim yellow. When the lights returned, the man was gone. My relief was brief. A chill filled the air, the kind that sinks into your bones. Then I heard it. Footsteps. They weren't normal footsteps. Hollow, dragging like chains across the metal floor. All around me, shadows shifted, growing longer, denser. The rows of empty seats ahead seemed to twist, stretch into darkness. I wanted to scream, but my voice died in my throat. The bus slowed, then stopped abruptly. I stumbled forward. My phone slipped from my hand, clattering to the floor. The screen illuminated just enough to see the figure standing at the very back of the bus again. And now, he was smiling. I tried the doors. They wouldn't budge. The windows wouldn't break. I was trapped. And then, I noticed them. Rows upon rows of passengers. People I didn't recognize, all seated silently, all staring. Hollow eyes, black as night, fixed on me. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. The bus seemed endless. Every seat was occupied. Every face pale, empty, silent. And all of them were watching me, waiting. Then the whispers returned, louder now, echoing through my skull. "It's your turn." I ran toward the front, clawing at the driver. His black-eyed gaze followed me, unblinking. The last thing I remember before everything went black was the sound of laughter. Deep, guttural, not human. When I woke, I wasn't on the street. I wasn't on the bus. I was in a dark, abandoned bus depot. Rusted buses lined the walls, their windows shattered, interiors covered in dust. I tried to move, but something held me. I turned slowly and froze. Every bus was full, and inside each one, the passengers, all black-eyed, hollow, staring, were turned toward me. And then I realized the truth. I hadn't been on the last bus to my apartment that night. I had boarded one I wasn't supposed to take, and now I was their last passenger. I should have gotten off when I had the chance. That simple decision, 1 second of awareness, might have saved me. But I didn't. And now, I'm not sure I ever will. It started like any other Thursday. I was exhausted from work, dragging myself onto the 11:50 p.m. bus heading home. My body sagged into a window seat, headphones in, trying to escape the day. The rhythmic hum of the engine and the soft vibration of the wheels on the asphalt lulled me into a half-conscious state. Somewhere along the way, I dozed off. When I woke, the bus was empty, completely empty, except for the driver. The dull glow of the interior lights illuminated the seats, all neat and pristine, no sign of any other passenger. I frowned and rubbed my eyes. Maybe I'd just been dreaming. I tapped the driver on the shoulder. "Hey, are we at my stop yet?" My voice sounded unnaturally loud in the silence. The driver didn't respond. He didn't even look at me. His hands gripped the wheel, knuckles white, motionless. I called out again, louder. Nothing. Panic began to seep in. I looked out the window. My neighborhood should have been visible by now. Familiar streetlights and the occasional open storefront. But instead, darkness. Endless darkness. The bus was moving, but the road outside was unrecognizable. There were no signs, no streetlights, no other cars, just houses, rows upon rows of dark, lifeless houses with windows blacked out, as if the town had been abandoned for decades. I yanked the cord to request a stop. Nothing. I pressed the emergency button. Nothing. I tried opening the doors manually. They wouldn't budge. My heart was pounding, my fingers trembling. The driver's hands didn't move. His head remained perfectly straight, facing the road, as if nothing I did mattered. And then I noticed it. The engine sound had changed. The usual rumble was replaced by a low, droning hum, a vibration that resonated deep in my chest. My ears rang. I clutched the seat in front of me, trying to stay calm. I whispered, almost to myself, "This isn't real. This isn't happening." But it was happening. Eventually, the bus slowed. We pulled up in front of a street I didn't recognize. A single street lamp flickered weakly. I forced myself to take a deep breath and step toward the exit. I pushed the doors open and stumbled onto the cracked asphalt. The air was cold, unnatural, like the breath of a tomb. Silence pressed in from every side. I glanced back. The bus sat idling, empty, with the driver still at the wheel, unmoving. I thought maybe I could run back and force him to drive me away. But the moment I turned, the bus doors slammed shut on their own. I was trapped. I looked down the street. The houses, blackened, hollow, silent, stretched endlessly. No light, no movement, no sound except the faint whistle of wind through dead trees. Something about it felt wrong. I began walking, hoping to find someone, anything, another person, a street sign, a clue that I wasn't alone. But the longer I walked, the heavier the silence became, pressing in on me. My own footsteps sounded absurdly loud, echoing as if the street itself were a hollow tunnel. That's when I saw them. Through the broken windows of the nearest house, I glimpsed figures, human shapes, sitting silently, unnervingly still. I thought maybe they were mannequins, but as I looked closer, their eyes glinted faintly in the dim light. They were smiling, wide, unnatural grins that didn't reach their eyes. I froze. My throat went dry. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like lead. I forced myself to move again, faster this time, heart hammering. I tried to rationalize it. It's some prank. Someone left mannequins in the windows. It has to be. But then I heard it. Footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate, not my own. I spun around. Nothing. The street was empty, yet the feeling of being watched pressed down on me like a physical weight. I broke into a sprint, zigzagging between houses, my chest burning, lungs screaming for air. And then I saw it. The bus, creeping toward me from the end of the street. Empty, but somehow alive. Its headlights weren't white. They were red, glowing like coals. I tried to run past it, but it was faster, gliding silently across the asphalt. The doors opened, and inside, the seats were filled with figures, mannequins or maybe people, faces pale and waxy, eyes wide and grinning. They turned to me all at once. The driver's face appeared at the wheel, smiling. A voice came from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Your stop." I screamed, but my voice was swallowed by the cold night air. I stumbled backward, trying to escape, but the street seemed to stretch endlessly. Every house I passed had more figures in the windows now, faces pressed to the glass, grinning. They didn't move, but their eyes followed me. I ran and ran and ran, until the world around me began to distort. The streetlights bent and stretched like fingers. The houses seemed taller, endless, closing in on me. I could hear whispers now, a chorus of them, faint and horrible. "You missed your stop. You belong to us." I stumbled into a small clearing, the ground uneven and cracked. My knees gave out. I collapsed, gasping, hands clawing at the cold dirt. The bus stopped beside me. The doors opened slowly. The red glow of the headlights washed over me. I knew I had no choice. I tried to run, but my body betrayed me. I fell forward. The last thing I saw before I was pulled inside was the rows of grinning mannequins, all seated like passengers, all staring at me, waiting. The driver waved. "Your stop." Then darkness swallowed me. I woke up hours later in my own bed. My apartment looked normal, everything in place. My heart still pounded. I convinced myself it had been a dream, just a nightmare born from exhaustion. But that night, the bus didn't stop at my street. And in my dreams, I still hear the whispers. "Your stop. Your stop." I was just trying to get home from class, tired, headphones in, lost in my own thoughts. The bus was half full, the hum of the engine a dull background to the scattered conversations and the occasional cough. I settled into a seat near the window, ready to zone out for the 20-minute ride. Then she appeared. A girl in a red coat sitting across the aisle. She was quiet, staring out the window, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She looked normal, too normal maybe. But something about her made me uneasy. The bus lurched, and she turned her head toward me, offering a faint, polite smile. "Hi," I said awkwardly. She didn't answer. She just smiled. I shrugged it off. Maybe she was shy, maybe she didn't feel like talking. But then I noticed something strange, something I couldn't ignore. My reflection in the window, normally mirroring the interior of the bus, didn't include her. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. Maybe I'd imagined it, but no. As I shifted my angle, her reflection didn't appear anywhere. My heart skipped. I tested it again, moving slightly, leaning forward. Still nothing. I glanced at her directly. Her eyes were dark, deep, impossibly still. And then, she whispered my name. "David!" My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone on the bus my name. I hadn't told anyone my schedule, my route, nothing. I froze, staring at her. She leaned closer, still silent, still smiling faintly. And then she started talking, softly, in a voice that was almost a sigh. She recounted memories, memories only I knew. The first time I fell off my bike. The time I got lost in the park at 7. The arguments I had with my mother about homework. Every word she spoke was accurate. Too accurate. I wanted to get up to move away, but my body refused. Fear pinned me to the seat. "You shouldn't be alive right now," she said suddenly. Her tone wasn't angry, it wasn't cruel, it was calm. I felt my stomach twist. "That night, you were supposed to die." I swallowed hard. My mind raced, trying to remember what she meant, and then I did. That night, years ago, a car had skidded out of control, headed straight for me on the sidewalk. I had survived, but barely. The memory made my hands tremble. She leaned closer, so close I could feel her cold breath. But I didn't let it happen. Not yet. You're still here. But tonight. The bus lurched violently. I slammed into the seat in front of me. The lights flickered. Outside, the world tilted, the street blurring into streaks of motion. I glanced around. Everyone else on the bus was staring straight ahead, expressionless. Their eyes were normal, but I couldn't shake the sense that I was alone, truly alone, with her. The bus jolted again, this time harder, throwing me off balance. I hit the floor. She was still beside me, smiling faintly, her eyes dark wells. "I'm just making sure you remember," she whispered. "Remember what it's like to almost die." I scrambled to my feet, heart pounding. The bus swerved sharply. People screamed, my classmates, strangers, but their faces blurred, distorted. Panic surged. I tried to reach the driver, but the aisle stretched endlessly. My legs felt like they weren't my own. Then she was in front of me, blocking the path. Red coat gleaming under the flickering lights. Her face was calm, serene, but her eyes held something ancient, something that belonged to shadows older than the city itself. The bus hit a sharp turn. Metal screeched. Glass shattered. I was thrown forward, crashing into a seat. Pain exploded in my shoulder, my leg. Everything was spinning. Then, silence. I woke up lying on the asphalt. Sirens wailing. People shouting. Paramedics swarming. My body ached, but I was alive. I tried to move, tried to speak, but everything was numb. The bus had crashed, completely destroyed. I had survived, but as I was lifted into the ambulance, I looked up. There she was, standing a few meters away. The red coat bright against the chaos, pristine and untouched. She watched me, her smile faint but unmistakable, and then she disappeared. I told the paramedics I didn't see anyone. They assumed I was disoriented from the crash. Maybe I was. Maybe I was imagining it. But I know the truth. She was there. And she's still out there. Somewhere. Waiting. Waiting for the next stop. Waiting for the next mistake. Sometimes at night when the world is quiet and I'm alone, I see a flash of red in the corner of my eye, and I remember she never forgets.